Welcome to Linebreak Rugby Podcast. You've got me, your host Sav. I'm joined today by WallopyJoe or Ed and CC, an Englishman and a Welshman respectively. You can all say.
So does that make you our token Scot for the day?
No, because I was cheering far too loudly in Scotland to be a Scot.
I can be the Celtic representation this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. He can also represent. He can also represent Ireland.
Yeah, there we go. Sorted.
Yep. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with...
First on the agenda, I believe, is the relegation of Scotland for the promotion of Georgia. No, that's ridiculous.
The first
breaking
the first
news.
thing on the breaking news. Do you want to introduce our breaking news?
No, I thought you were going to.
Oh well, our breaking news is that Stade Francais have decided. Well, it's not their decision. Stade Francais and Racing 92 are combining. Apparently.
Yeah, surely that would be the FRR. Is it FFR?
Well, the site crashed, so any
Federation Francais Rugby or whatever it is, or would it not be their decision?
The site has just loaded for me, but it is in French. But it was crashed when I first tried to get on it, so I couldn't really figure out what was going on. But basically, they're sticking them together.
I don't know how much influence the French Federation actually has on the clubs. I don't think they have a lot at all. I think which is why they get away with so much Frenchness all the time.
Well, someone was saying that obviously they're giving up one of the stadiums and going. I think they're going with Racing Stadium.
Well, yeah, they're building Arena 92, aren't they? This fancy new stadium.
The indoor stadium.
Yeah.
Is that going to be the new? Is that going to take over from Stade de France for French internationals, or is it just for the club game?
No, this is a club-sized stadium. It's around 30,000 seats, I think. I think the new Stade de France they were going to build is, or not the new one, but the replacement. I think that's paused at the moment. Laporte doesn't really like it, so I think that they're putting that on hold at the moment. But I think this Arena 92 is definitely going ahead, as far as I know. Maybe that's the solution to the Italy-Georgia problem. Merge the two together. Have play, yeah.
So suddenly they're one super nation. Yeah.
The Azzurri Lilos.
So yeah, I mean, we obviously don't know much about the actual complex issues of them joining together, but it's reasonably ridiculous from an outside point of view. It's just a bit crazy.
Did something quickly? Did I read, because I'm seeing people suggest like combined teams that include the likes of, Willem Alberts, Maxime Machino, Dan Carter, Juan Imhoff, Joe Roccathoko. Did I see it somewhere that this was potentially to try and get a team that was more French and less mercenary, or not mercenary, probably not the right word, but
there was someone. So I think someone just commented that was an idea of why they were doing it. I don't think there was any. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the idea.
I think their wording from the club or from whoever has announced this is said that they want to be able to have a 15 that is 100% French qualified. So they still have a couple of marquee signings and things like that and big foreign players, but I think the idea is so that they can at any point put out a 15 that is fully French.
Either way, though, that is still going to be potentially a fair few people having to, a fair few players having to look for new contracts elsewhere, because they're in effect doubling their player base, but they can't do anything with that if they can't play them all.
It's a very strange. I mean, we'll see what happens. It's very strange. I mean, obviously it's all breaking now, and we're not really sure, but it's it's a little bit odd. Should we move back to the Six Nations, because that's something we actually do know about?
Oh, yeah, all right.
Should we do it in game order?
Yes, we should. No, can we do it 2-1-3?
2-1-3.
So
Well, you want to talk
Italy,
about
France first.
Italy? Okay, yeah. Italy, France.
I just figure I figure there's probably more to talk about for the other two.
Yeah.
But it's
Italy, France was a throwback to when
France were France and Italy were Italy.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's-
it was a throwback to when France looked like they had a great attacking team. Like Fiku was playing amazingly.
Fiku was a lethal on the counter attack.
Yeah,
It was actually
Doulan was playing well.
a joy to watch, despite my feelings of who I wanted to win. Seeing some of the French players cut through the defensive line was spectacular.
And Vakatawa was throwing over the head passes and things like that. It was good to watch the French have a little bit of fun. I think
Yeah.
they weren't fully in control at the beginning of that game.
No. Well,
but yeah.
the game kind of disappointed me greatly. I adore Italy, and even if you ignore all the chat about, Italy should be relegated, Italy is shit, Italy haven't improved, in the grand scheme of things, they may have regressed a bit over the last couple of years, where they previously picked up a fair bit. But Conor O'Shea coming in, I think the idea is for him to revamp Italy from the ground up, from grassroots all the way up to test level. But seeing their performance was just a bit sad, because Parise scored in, I think, the 3rd minute. And then it was about 77 minutes before their next try. And it just they are capable of so much more. And it just didn't work out for them. And they were playing at home.
I feel the roles have changed a bit. It used to be that Italy's front row were kind of their strength. And not to say that they're rubbish, but it's kind of become where Campagnaro, I've forgotten what the number 11 ended with his weird top knot, what his name is, and Canna. I feel like their backline's a lot better now.
It's not Santiago, it's
like Verratti or something.
Venditti.
Giovan Battista Venditti.
Yeah, there you go.
Great name.
He's playing well. Campagnaro's playing well. Canna's playing quite well. So I mean they've got the backs now. So
and it's their second try scorer Esposito has looked pretty hot in his appearances.
Yeah, I mean
it's okay. I think Sato's better when he's not injured. I think if they had Sato back, that would be quite an impressive backline.
Yeah, I'm looking at that and I'm quite.
You've got
Campagnaro,
Bronzini, who probably should be taking over Gori by now.
Bronzini should definitely be starting over Gori.
Yeah, there was talk about that in the thread as well. So yeah, it's Italy, lots of room for improvement, but they've got a talented backline. And France, yeah, they won.
And it was it was fairly convincing as well.
Yeah, they didn't look out of control at any point, only at the beginning.
They got was it 5 tries I think in the end? Got the bonus, or maybe 6.
Yeah.
But they ran in their fair share. They did pretty well with it.
They've done pretty well. So we're just going to skate straight through that because we're ignorant British people.
Oh, that's why it's yeah. Is it worth?
Do you want to talk about Wales Island, CC?
I do. I really, really do.
You're really desperate to talk about Wales Island.
Yeah, you know what?
Can I say very briefly, because I have been known, perhaps unfairly, in the past as one to very occasionally, slag off the Welsh. Just to put this out there before CC takes over, George North's first try, I think might be contender for try of the championship. I thought it was just sublime to watch. Webb playing, I think, the best move he's played this Six Nations, and North absolutely powering through 2 or 3 players. I've missed so much seeing him do that, and I thought it was fantastic, and I just thought I'd get that on the record.
About that try, I actually think Halfpenny nearly let the boys down there.
I think that can be said for his whole tournament. To be honest,
he didn't take the ball to the line or fix anyone or put an injection of pace on it. He kind of was like, North, here's the ball.
Stumble, yeah.
And then North just scored, which was very good. It was a brilliant finish, but he left North with a lot to do considering they had an overlap. So yeah, Halfpenny's always going to get criticism, and that part of his game perhaps an attack. I mean, the no try scored in 32 games is a bit brutal.
Mental. 33 now.
Was it 33? It was. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of games to have not scored as a fullback. Anyway, CC, do you want to talk about the positives?
Well, yeah, I just want to stay on Halfpenny really, because I mean, you look at the last Lions year when he was contended to be basically the best player in the world, and he was right up there, and now he just seems a bit. He's not become a bad player, but he's not really setting anything alight at the moment. And he's not even putting, like, before, when he wasn't perhaps having great attacking form, he'd always be absolutely solid in defence. And you haven't really seen like those big hits that he used to put in and things like that. And he hasn't been great under the high ball either, which is one of the things he used to be brilliant at. And it just seems a bit sad at the moment, really. Because
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's been him playing in France or all the talk surrounding about him being in France, whether it's put him off his game or something. I don't know, or whether it's the fact that he's finally being challenged by Liam Williams, even though he won't be bloody played on the wing all the time.
Yeah.
And then you got Dan Bigger, who I think he had a good game, but he looked a bit. I don't know. He felt like he knows that Sam Davis is breathing down his neck at the moment. And you can tell he was putting very flat passes in the Ireland game. There was, you can tell he was trying to really sort of do what everyone says Sam Davis will be doing.
He's pushing it. He pushed
everything. It a bit too much though, because at least twice, possibly 3 times, he passed right to Johnny Sexton.
Yeah.
Who, in fairness to him, is probably a master of reading what an opposition 10 is going to do. Yeah.
And actually, in Bigger's favour, after it had happened a few times, he kind of started throwing a bit deeper and a bit. So he kind of at least found a way to fix what he was doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
To his credit.
But you're right, CC. Sam Davies, I mean, he's breathing down his neck at club level, if not taken over a little bit. And he's definitely breathing down his neck at international level now.
Yeah, there were moments of sort of composure from Dan Bigger that I'm not sure Sam Davis could have maybe had the kind of presence of mind to be able to do in a Six Nations match at his sort of level of experience. So, like when Dan Bigger chased the ball back and let it go over the line just before touching it down with, I don't know who it was chasing, but literally right on his back. And a clearing kick that he did with maybe about a metre space, but went 50 metres up the pitch and bounced out. Things like that are something that only really he can do at the moment in terms of Welsh squad depth. So I mean, there's pros and cons to both of it, but you'd hope with maybe Dan Bigger going on the Lions tour, perhaps that Sam Davis would get his chance in the summer to start.
Yeah.
And
I can definitely see that.
But who are Wales playing in the summer? Very quickly.
Tonga and Samoa.
Oh, okay.
And they've got a game against Georgia in 2018.
Or 2017, coming up this autumn.
Is it?
Yeah.
Sweet.
There you go. So that'll be the wooden... Well, it was going to be the wooden spoon game, wasn't it? But it's not anymore. No, it's going to be Italy wooden spoon, but is it going to be Ireland below that? Or, just above that, sorry.
Oh, the entire table, I've got to get this up, because people have been going on about it for the last... week really, after speculating what would happen this weekend.
Yeah.
There are scenarios in which every team currently in positions 2 through 4 on the Six Nations table can come second.
All right. Jesus.
So
okay.
That
does make sense.
If Ireland win, they are second, but the points, Ireland and France are on 10, Wales and Scotland are both on 9. Ireland will be playing England, France will be playing, Wales, Scotland playing Italy. So if Scotland BP against Italy, Ireland lose, France lose. If Wales don't get a BP, Scotland are second. If Wales get the BP, Scotland don't, and Ireland and France lose, Wales are in second. France get a bonus point win, they might be in second. It's quite interesting, especially compared to the previous 4 years. Or 5 years rather, that granted, we will come to the fact that England have won with a week to spare, but the permutations of the table are still very, very open, and the significance that has for the rest of the year, both with regards to the Lions selection and the World Cup draw, which happens, I think, in about a month and a half.
Yeah,
it's quite interesting.
It's end of April, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I think the interesting. So I want to take it back to the Wales Island game because that's what we were talking about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The turning point for me, and I actually don't think Wales would have won if this doesn't happen. And I think you kind of all know what that moment
Henshaw.
is. Yeah, it's Henshaw sticking his head in the maul in the wrong place. I think that if Ireland score there, they build a huge amount of momentum. And I mean, I can't predict what the Welsh team would do. I don't know if their heads would go down or if the Millennium Stadium would pick them up again. But I think if that try had gone over, there's a huge swing.
Yeah,
and Ireland are on the go forward. So for me, Henshaw really fucked it. You know, that moment was quite a clear-cut moment, which was a fork in the road. Rory Best goes over there. Ireland are on the way up, and maybe they win that game.
You've got to wonder what Henshaw was thinking as well, because
I know I've seen the Murray Kinsella. I've seen the Murray Kinsella.
I've not yet.
Interview. Basically, Henshaw didn't know that you couldn't join the maul in front of the ball carrier.
Really?
Really? That's what he said. So
maybe it's because he's a back.
Yeah, I mean, I made a comment in the thread, but there was a point in time where forwards were taught to be backs. You know, pass, catch, draw, all of that. It's happened. Forwards can play in the back. I mean, look at Tipperick, for God's sake. He's a centre.
Centre masquerading at a 7,
yeah. Yeah. So now maybe it's time that backs learn how to play as a forward. You know, it's we should know how to ruck and maul and maybe the odd line out if Dunbar's got anything to do with it. It's
just in case you need to shove a winger on the flank again.
Yeah. So he can stick his head between someone's legs. Yeah, it's quite infuriating. As someone who was quite unashamedly supporting Ireland, I think, before the game.
Yeah.
Just because I have more family in Ireland than I do in Wales. It was annoying. I watched Henshaw do it and I just thought that guy's an idiot. And I think I caught it when it happened at the same time the ref did. Everyone else was kind of like, what's he done?
When it happened, I thought he'd awarded the try.
No, I was just gutted. I think I was just gutted, to be honest, because immediately I saw Henshaw join in front of Best and I just thought, you're an idiot. If Barnes sees it, you've screwed it, and Barnes saw it. So it was very frustrating. But Wales, I've got to give it to them. They defensively, and this is something that I don't know if CC agrees with this. To me, Sean Edwards is the Welsh coach, or the coach in the Welshing setup that knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's definitely the one I think that's made the most difference or at least visible difference that you've seen in the Welsh team of the past and then up till now. It's like, I mean, the game on Friday was very similar to the game 2 years ago in 2015 with Ireland, when the defence was just absolutely brilliant. And
line speed.
I mean,
just everything up in face.
Yeah, look at the combination of Warburton and Tipperick in that back row, and people constantly talk about how Tipperick is this centre in the back row, or he's just a back, masquerading as a forward, and then you see the game that he had on Friday and how physical he was. It was rivaling Warburton almost in terms of the hits he was putting in and the carries he was making. It was just absolutely huge. And then when you got Falatau coming off the bench as well, to have that kind of thing. I mean, charging down for the last try as well. Just that constant, up in the 78th minute.
It's that
just
defense.
Constantly charging up, constantly putting pressure on them, they just absolutely suffocated them. It was great to see.
It was from an old school standpoint, but I kind of maintained I like Sean Edwards. The way he's built that Welsh defence is obviously very, very solid. But there aren't many, and I think Saracens are the exception, there aren't many top tier teams that do that anymore. Defence is the key. Do you know what I mean? Most top tier teams are kind of branching out to a more freestyle, try and score rugby, whereas the Welsh are relying on that defensive structure to win them games, which is quite good because obviously it worked really well against Ireland. Ireland didn't have enough cutting edge to get through.
Yeah,
But I can see it falling short long term. We'll see, obviously, but it was fantastic at the weekend.
Where it works with Saracens is that they also have an attack.
Yeah, that's true.
with Wales, that's been an issue for a while. I mean, fortunate that the attack worked on Friday, and everything just sort of seemed to click in the right way. But I mean, you can't rely on sort of luck or just hoping that something works on that day. They really have to build up a proper attack before next year, before next Six Nations, or before even next autumn, hopefully.
It's interesting again because they're kind of relying on individual players like Liam Williams and North, the two most interesting Welsh backs, I would say. There's no real... I don't know if it's me misreading something, but there's no real game plan to bring them into the game. It's just, you will get the ball at some point and you will make something happen.
Yeah,
Whereas,
I find like with Liam Williams, the thing with him being on the wing is that most of the time when he gets the ball, it's just being shoveled across the backs without any kind of drawing any defenders, and he's just left with three people trying to get him at once, and he gets isolated or he gets pushed into touch, and you think, oh, he's had a bad game. It's like, well, no, he hasn't been given any space. when he's playing at fullback and he's got that time to run and look and see where he wants to go, look what he did to New Zealand in the summer from fullback.
Yeah,
he was
the star player.
He tore them apart.
Mm-hmm.
And then they decide to put him on the wing, where he's not happiest as a player himself. He prefers being at fullback. It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever for him to be on the wing, where he's just one of the completely wasted.
Could you not say that about at least a few of Warren Gatlin's selection policies and choices at who he's put them where? I suppose Howley too. For instance, I mean, don't know how, I'll try not to be too glib, but for instance, Jamie Roberts scoring that try, you kind of want to hope that he is still on the way out, and doing things like that aren't going to cement him in the team for another year. But with particularly, for instance, Lee Halfpenny and Liam Williams playing in what are perhaps each other's respective best positions, seems a bit counterintuitive to form, because at this stage I think either put Williams at fullback and Halfpenny at wing.
I mean, at the start of the Six Nations, I would agree with you.
Out the Six Nations for a bit, because it's he has the ability, but he's not having the chance to do anything with it.
At the moment, there's no reason for Halfpenny to be starting in the team anywhere. In my opinion, Bigger can kick. You've got Sam Davis on the bench. You can, even if you haven't got Sam Davis, you've got Owen Williams maybe, who also can kick. There's no we're not short of kickers in Wales. That's not an issue.
Justin Tipuric to be able to
Tips knocks him over from 50. He's the Daly of Wales.
He's the Maco Vinopola of.
But I mean, if you've got so much talent coming through in the back three in Wales, especially we got Steph Evans who's in the squad at the moment, who hasn't even seen the 23. You got Keelan Giles who's just come back from injury. Either one of them could play on the wing that Liam Williams is on at the moment, and he can go to fullback. And
the talisman,
it's just I know it's apparently impossible for Gatland or Howley to drop a favourite, but you think maybe if they did something like that, I mean, especially with the Welsh public who, they love Lee Halfpenny. If they did something like drop him, it would really shake things up. I think that would be a huge thing to do. Like I think it would be on levels with the whole Sam Warburton resigning his captaincy sort of thing. Yeah, it would be that level of thing. And look how well he's playing now.
He's a man possessed now. To be honest with you. He's now, for me, he's an easy option for the Lions because he's playing so well. Warburton.
Oh yeah.
He's out of the limelight. He's playing really well. Billy Vunipola, CJ Stander, Warburton, Hamish Watson. I mean, those are the four back row forwards. Tipperick's up there as well. Those are the back row forwards that are really shining at the moment.
Can you imagine? Can you just imagine for a moment if Rob Shaw wasn't injured? I think his chances are some.
Let's talk about Harlequins in England.
It's worth I think worth pointing out that Warburton has kind of gone through the same phase as Chris Robshaw in that now he's been relieved of the captaincy. I think his game has picked up a bit.
I think Warburton's even higher. I think he's taken it to. I think Robshaw's been reasonably consistent. I think Warburton's taken it to another level.
But
really.
Whether it's because he's lost the captaincy or whether it's just the fact that there's no longer the excess responsibility, his game has massively picked up from where it's been over the last year. I've been really, really impressed with him. And him starting at 7 in the Test matches this summer would be more than fine.
I mean, you can't hear it, Ed, but you do go through some interesting periods of distortion. I don't know. It might be that might be what causes the desync in your audio. To be honest with you,
maybe. Oh shit! Actually, yeah, you're right. It's I've just seen it stop for like 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah, so that might be the issue. But we'll power through because we're recording him on as many devices as physically possible.
Yeah, it's as a recent. Just while we sidebar for a bit, my laptop is completely fucked up recently, so the last 2 podcasts I've been a part of haven't actually been published because the audio has gone to shit, and so I'm now recording on the same old shitty laptop, and I've also got 2 phones set up with microphones around the room and hoping they prove slightly better.
Should we talk about Ireland really briefly, just for 5 minutes, because we were going to get Harble on, but he's not quite here.
He's probably still drunk.
Yeah.
I was gonna say a few people mentioned it in the sub. With regards to the yellow card,
yep.
I'm still borderline, but I'm open to be convinced otherwise because, as far as I can tell, the consensus is that it was straight yellow, and Barnes actually had a fairly decent match.
The Sexton yellow?
Yeah, because it's
it was. He was lying on the ball,
rolled together, and it kind of. Yeah.
He delayed it. He delayed it long enough to be a big. It was a big impact in that moment of the game, and you can't delay the ball on the try line like that. So whether or not he was held in there, Sexton knew what he was doing. He did take one for the team really at that point, and it did mess them up quite a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because then they didn't have a kicker, so everybody at halftime was a little bit concerned that if they did get a penalty, who was even going to take it? Murray was injured as well. I don't know why he came out. Did he come out in the second half?
He did for about 10 or 15 minutes.
And then they were just like,
yeah,
he had no power. He had no power in one of his hands.
His left arm was. He was holding his right arm up. His left arm was just hanging limp, and so every time he passed right, there was no power on him. So he kept passing to people.
Yeah. So I mean, Ireland did have their issues for injuries, but I don't know what to say.
CJ Stander's first barnstorming run up the wing though, through like 5 people, and
I was genuinely laughing my head off when that happened. That was one of the best things I've ever seen. I don't know why. I must have been in the right mood, but I was giggling like a small child. It was phenomenal. It was like watching someone Tom Croft style kind of thing.
Do you not remember?
But he's huge.
But do you remember Billy Vunipola against Ireland last Six Nations?
Did the same thing.
Did the exact same thing, and he also had no support when he got through.
Yeah. That was the issue.
Run.
That was the issue. There was no one at all with him. What can we say about Ireland? Looked ineffective in attack.
Yeah.
They look better when Sexton was on the pitch, but the centres are just good defensively. I didn't see them cut. There was never a point where I felt like they were going to cut through.
Yeah.
Henshaw's really good in defence.
I really want to bring up. How do teams not see the wraparound coming?
Oh right, yeah.
Because
CC, go and talk
more
to
than
the
once. It was honestly the move itself that he pulls off is brilliant. It works really well. It's really smooth, and when they're on song, it's just exceptional play. But the fact that no one sees it coming, despite the fact that he's always doing it, I find truly astounding.
So the way I see it from up in the stands, with the camera or whatever, is that he gives it quite early to his 12. the 13 comes on this direct line and sucks somebody in every single time. And the problem is that they do use that option sometimes.
Yeah.
So no matter what, that outside man in defensive line has to tackle that 13's line. And doing so, that leaves Sexton to do his lovely little loop. And that frees up a 15 or a winger. So it's hard to defend. It's really obvious. It is really obvious, but it's really hard to defend against. It works quite well because it just creates that extra man that a drift defense doesn't fix. Because if you just drift and push people out, it doesn't really work in stopping that. So it's just good attacking play, really. But yeah, it's really obvious. In saying that, what was I can't really remember a Welsh back move.
The first try, George North's try.
Oh yeah, is all moves. It's the break, because the line Webb runs as well to actually put the players into position. Granted, Halfpenny nearly snaffled the whole thing, but Webb makes the break and he makes a point to run, across the defence.
Yeah.
And before putting the ball into open space.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm remembering it now.
He's essentially playing like a 10 there, Webb. He gives the flat ball to Scott Williams, he runs his support, and then he puts that absolutely massive pass into Halfpenny then.
That was a cracking pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great. It was great from Webb. And I think, if Murray's going to be injured, I don't know. Actually, I doubt Murray will be out for a long period of time, but Webb certainly put his hand up alongside Murray for competition for places. Yeah. So let's talk about England.
Yeah, all right.
Let's talk about England. I'm actually just going to briefly have a word on Scotland. Scotland are the second best team in this tournament.
I'd agree with that. The tries they scored were bloody good as well. They're
without doubt the second best attacking team.
Yeah, they exploited our frailties and weaknesses in defence, and I think they asked some fairly telling questions of England as a team with the tries they scored.
I think I don't know. I feel like the Scottish team. This is one of the best Scottish teams in my lifetime, if not the best Scottish team in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Perhaps. And the result at the weekend was a mixture of injury and I'm not really sure. They're not good away. I'm not really sure how you quantify that, but Scotland aren't very good at playing away.
Yeah. Quick question, just because we should probably have HMFC here. With regards to their centres,
yeah, go on.
They've got Hugh Jones and Alex Dunbar. Where do Mark Bennett and Mark Bennett and Matt Scott come into the equation with regards to first through fourth?
Hugh Jones is undroppable at the moment, I think.
Yeah.
He's been a hell of a find for Scotland. It's just a case of who you want playing with him, really. I think
undroppable, but will be about to go play club rugby in South Africa, if I'm correct.
Oh, he's joining Glasgow, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh,
is he? He's in Glasgow. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was going back down south. Okay.
I think he might be for another season with the Stormers, and then is coming back.
He might finish his contract of Super Rugby, and then come to Glasgow. Because he's still on the fancy rugby teams, although I don't think anyone's picked him up because obviously he's playing Six Nations. But yeah, he's undroppable. I think Matt Scott's put his name out there because he's playing really well for Gloucester. He is at Gloucester, isn't he? Yeah,
I think so.
I'm pretty sure he is at Gloucester. So he's putting his name out there. He's playing quite well. Bennett, Dunbar defensively had an absolute nightmare at the weekend.
I think Hugh Jones did a bit as well.
Joseph basically said, well, Ford, Farrell, Joseph just went, you know what, we can tear these boys apart. And
they had fun.
And then they did. Yeah, and then they did. Which was quite brutal. I was sitting in the pub, as I've said many times, and I was just shouting, why is nobody tackling Joseph?
In fact, I suppose slightly relevant, one of my favourite comments from half-time on Reddit was that the positive side for Scotland was that England had only scored one try. The negative side being that they'd scored it 4 times. Because it was... It's a great move, but it was basically the exact same thing 4 times in a row. Granted, at the one point, Joseph... The only person Joseph passed to all match was his Bath teammate. Slight hyperbole, but it was the exact same straight through.
The next point on that I'd like to make is that all any team needs to do to defend against England is to force them to go so wide that they have to use Mike Brown.
Oh yeah, because I could.
Do you know what I mean?
I am getting so frustrated because watching the match, it pissed me off to no end, and I've got the full match on mute on at the moment.
Yeah,
and it's
defend tight.
I'm getting less and less bothered by the fact that he's moving away from Harlequins at the end of the season. I know that sounds ridiculous because he's been a Quinn in his entire career, but he won't pass the bloody ball at all, and it's maddening to watch because he's just brutalising overlap after overlap, just ignoring acres of space and players inside there, and it's running into contact. And granted, if he's going into contact, he's recycling the ball and he's giving the scrum half something clean to pass on to the next man.
Yep.
But he's still running into three people with, one or two people outside him.
Mm-hmm.
And the one, I think watching early on in the game, I think about 9-10 minutes maybe, he does actually pass the ball to Anthony Watson. But he passes so early that if he had actually held his line a bit longer, like he usually will do, actually might try to either get the offload off or just deliver the ball as soon as he's going into contact.
Mm-hmm.
We could have made another 20 or 30 yards. And I can't stand watching him butcher so many opportunities. And it's making me angry.
So as England fans then, who would you have instead of him? Would you move Watson to fullback, or
Watson or Daly?
No, I don't want Daly at 15.
Then Watson.
But yeah, Watson. See, the reason I don't want Daly at 15 is not because he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But this experiment of him on the wing has just been too good.
I
know that he knows how to defend in a backline.
Yeah.
And I just feel like his best position would not be at fullback. He played there for Wasps for a bit, and he was okay, but he wasn't anything special. But he's just been something else playing on the wing. It's been, and I think why change that? Watson can play 15.
Yeah.
Put him at 15.
The other side is though of our three best outside backs, or back three rather, assuming outside centre is also outside back. Noel, Watson, and Daly, who I think are the top back three we're playing at the moment, can all play wing, can all play at a push fullback. So if they are all in the back three, there is room for them to, move around, support, or switch a role every now and again for a play and cover the frailties that they might otherwise leave with if, say, May was playing.
I don't know how it happens, right? CC, is it the same for you, where it's just like he sounds like a robot for about a minute?
Yeah.
And then at the end, you kind of hear the last 30 seconds. You hear the last,
because maybe the microphone is just too far away.
I don't know what it is, but I caught most of that. I think what he said was to do with Noel, Daly, and Watson being the best back three.
Yeah, and they can all swap around. Yeah, they can all swap around. They can all play wing. They can all play fullback, and at a push, two of them can play centre. So Noel, do you remember
Daly,
a few years ago? There was certainly for a bit. I'm sure I can remember, particularly around someone like James Hook. There was a bit of a thing where utility backs weren't the in thing. You wanted players who could play their position, play them well, and that's where they would play. And now in the last, certainly in England's camp, helped immeasurably to have a few players that do have that diversity in their skill sets, I think.
There's always been this little thing about utility backs. There's always been, so you had Berwick Barnes and Gitto in the 10-12, and you had...
James O'Connor was played as one for a bit, even though he had one position better than he should have been a...
He was a better winger than he ever was at 10-12 or any other position that they tried to play him. Farrell's obviously now a 10-12 combination at international level.
Yeah, he's an interesting one though, I think, because Lancaster started him at 12 outside Charlie Hodgson, and then he was basically 10 for the rest of the 4 years Lancaster was in charge. But what Eddie Jones has done, and what was all the way through age grade, was Farrell at 12 outside, forward at 10. So it's that we've gone back to that, and they are excelling in that partnership. I think is
100%.
Again, I've gotten sidetracked, but yeah, carry on.
I think what I want to do is perhaps look at how Finn Russell, because again, I just talk about fly halves. That's all I do.
It's what you know.
Yeah, it's what I know. I want to talk about how Finn Russell can't play on the back foot. He's not a back foot 10. As soon as the Scottish attacking, I don't know what you want to call it, thrust. As soon as the Scottish attacking thrust was going backwards, Russell kind of fell apart. He throws the pass too flat too often, and it kind of just.
So is that a lack of confidence, or is he just affected too much by the pressure?
No, he always plays the ball as if they just gained yards.
Oh, okay.
And it's not to say that he always does the same thing over and over again, but he will treat whatever comes off the back of a ruck as if he's got a little bit of extra time, or that he's the one injecting the pace onto it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's just it doesn't work when your forwards aren't winning the battle. I don't know. I think he's one of the best players. He's one of the best 10s when you're on attack.
Sure.
And that proves because when they are on attack, Scotland score loads of tries because they score tries against England, who previously have not been letting in quite that much anyway. So I don't know how Russell whether he even wants to change his style, because obviously he took did he get injured in the end? I can't remember.
I think most of them did, to be fair.
Their whole team ended up.
Didn't Ali Price end up on the wing?
He did very well on the wing. Yeah. Did well on the wing. Pyrgos came in at 9, and to be honest, when I was sitting with lots of Scottish people. They were a little bit annoyed. They thought the wrong person was on the wing, not because Ali Price couldn't do the job, but because Pyrgos is not a good enough scrum half in their eyes. So yeah, they'd have rathered Ali Price to be continuing to run the show from the centre rather than from out on the edge. But anyway, that's my thought on Russell. I don't think he's very good on the backwards foot. He puts a lot of pressure on himself.
Stuart Hogg went off for injured fairly early as well, didn't he? That was a shame to see. This is just to bring up some, I don't know, it's not really controversy. Fraser Brown's hit on Elliot Daly. He's been cited for it. Do you think it's the correct decision? Yeah. Do you think it should have been red card or yellow card was enough, or where do you two stand?
I don't know. CC's the neutral. I'm happy with the yellow personally. Yeah. Although I think
I could have understood either way. I understand he went with the yellow. I understand why he went with the yellow. I also could have understood if he went for the red. I think, to be honest, because he does hit the back first, but I mean in that case it's not much of a barrier because its head drives into the ground right afterwards anyway. It's
full on whiplash, but it's the amount of time between back hitting and head hitting is, I think, it's so negligible that it's again I am quite torn on it. I've watched the replay itself a few times and I saw the incident from the wide angle while watching the full match replay, and it's from initial reaction is from the first hit, just seeing the camera pan away. It looks like it would be fine as a yellow, but it's the slow motion making everything worse than it appears. He kind of drives him towards the ground before actually losing complete control and just about dropping him as he's impacting the ground. But it's
the issue I had with it was it's not the impact. I'm not bothered about the impact particularly. I don't know if that makes any sense, but he very, very obviously lifts legs and hips
completely up above horizontal. And as I say,
that's the issue for me.
Towards the end of the drive, he is dropping him. He's lost all control on Daly himself, and it's not even remotely close to say what Warburton did in the World Cup. But there is the grip he has on him as he's kind of pushing forward, just laxes so much that Daly ends up falling rather than being driven, and so it's what that does to the game with a red card after 2 minutes is monumental, and I imagine the victory wouldn't have been as telling against 14 men as it would be against 15. But
I've come up with a random thought in my head just now that I don't think there's I don't think there's many Scottish commentators that are complaining about the yellow.
Yeah.
And weirdly in my head that might indicate that it's too soft. Does that make sense? I don't think there's any.
Like they got off easy sort of thing. Like
I haven't seen anybody. Like normally you'd see a couple, and then maybe if there was a couple complaining, then you'd think, okay, maybe it's about right. But I haven't seen anybody. Even the most diehard Scottish fan hasn't really tried to defend what happened. And so just now I'm kind of erring on the side maybe it's worse than a yellow, but I don't know if in the moment I'd have given it a red.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That kind
I was happy enough with the yellow at the time, but thinking about it, I'm not saying that's a sure indicator, but it's something about it. They're kind of accepting of it.
It's certainly an interesting argument, or a side to the argument, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's just on my head.
Something worth bringing up though, just as well. It's I suppose because of the new guidelines or the new remit the refs have for player safety or whatever. There is a moment, I think 20 odd minutes in, I think one of the contributing factors to Hogg going off is when he kind of gets hit one after the other by Itoje and then Haskell. Itoje kind of gets him almost right on the neck, like right smack in the jugular, before Haskell just goes directly for the ball, which then kind of smacks Hoggy in the face. And I think the only actual replay of the event I've seen was such horrible quality as to not be at all conclusive. But kind of seeing it on the big screen just the once, it does kind of feel like perhaps Itoje was lucky to only get a penalty, possibly, just because of how reckless I suppose the hit was and contributing to where it hit. But I don't think Reynal had a particularly good match as well.
Itoje was incredibly pumped.
That
game. I mean,
massively
he always is. But he was being an absolute arse to most of the opposition.
He does that to every team. I'm noticing it more and more. It's because he properly got into Barkley's face as well. Not in any way that was nothing you could penalise. Yeah. But it's like he's trying to start a fight so that the other team will get penalised. And I think it does work very near the end of the match. The replay's not quite there yet, but there's a point where Scotland get a scrum 5 metres out from their own line, and then a fight starts. And I'm not sure whether it's Haskell or whoever, but I'm sure Itoje's about there. And Reynal turns it into a penalty to us.
Yeah, they got turned around.
And I got to say, I said that I don't think Reynal had a particularly good match. I thought he was average to poor most of the game, but I was surprised by that because it's not something you see very often. And so for a ref to actually have the balls to give something like that, it surprised me. I don't know whether I'm unbiased enough to say whether or not it was the right decision. But it was certainly interesting. I thought it was
in terms of refs, we'll bring it back. CC, what was your thought on Wayne Barnes?
I thought he had a great game. I think like there was a time in which he maybe a few years ago when I wasn't really much of a fan of him. He seemed like a good communicator, perhaps not the best sort of ref, but it seems now I think he's probably the best ref in the world at the moment, Wayne Barnes. I think he's just on everything instantly. He's got a sort of a bit like Nigel Owens, where he's got a sense for the game and how things are going.
I had a Welsh friend send me a message saying Wayne Barnes is a cock. He's right, but he's a cock. I feel like that summed it up, really.
I don't think that's fair. I think that it's...
No, because he explains everything in a really patronising way, almost. Like Nigel Owens kind of does it with a joke,
with that.
whereas Wayne Barnes is kind of like...
I think...
I like the way Wayne Barnes
I have my own
things.
issues with... I have my own issues with Barnes. I mean, it's... Though there aren't many, and they've certainly gotten less. It still kind of irritates me, although I've got no horse in the race. You know when Hartley got red carded in the final with Barnes reffing? All those years ago.
Not
this was 4 years ago now, the Premiership final they got... Okay, this is a sidetrack. I just feel like getting it off my chest. This is a proper sidetrack,
but it is to do with Barnes, so yeah,
it's to do with Barnes. He's telling Myler he can't kick the ball out, but because of his accent, it sounds like he's saying can.
Oh.
And that's what caused the whole mess that then... that's really beside the point. I don't know why I got into it. Point is, I think he's a decent ref, and I think it's unfair to label him as a cock. Because he does explain everything. I think he's fair, and I think he's good at getting teams to adapt.
He's a barrister, isn't he? I'm sure his day job is a barrister.
Yeah, he is.
So I just feel... I mean, he lives into that stereotype of talking down a little bit.
Yeah, I think I understand when he's telling people good job and well done and stuff like that for like rolling away out of a tackle or something. I can see people getting annoyed by that. The fact that
there's little bits of that.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, on the Henshaw obstruction, disallowing of the try, penalty reversal to whatever, him explaining it to Best was...
Oh, he's apologising, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, that's what I saw people calling that out, but he's still very clear and very succinct in what's been done and why it's a penalty. And
he was apologising to Best, not for the penalty.
But I don't think that's apologising for saying, I'm sorry, I've done it. It's more like,
I'm sorry this has happened. Yeah, I'm sorry, Henshaw's fucked up. We'll chalk that up to a mistake, but he's still an idiot.
If we're Ben O'Keefe reffed the Italy-France game. He's been doing Super Rugby for about 2 years, I think. This was his debut match in Test Rugby.
Debut!
And I thought he put in the best reffing display of possibly this championship.
Yep, I
thought he was absolutely superb.
I think it sums it up that I don't remember him doing anything right or wrong.
Yeah.
You know, like it just, the game happened. There were no real contentious moments, so he obviously did his job quite well.
He, I think, got a bit lax perhaps in the last 10 or 20 minutes, and whether that's down to...
I mean, when Italy and France...
I mean, whatever,
last 20 minutes of that game, does it matter?
Yeah, but the point is, he put in, especially considering he's a debut ref, what it is, Itoje's trying to break up the fight, he kind of pats Barkley on the head, and Barkley's just like shoving, penalty reversal.
There's some wonderful theory of mine going on with Ed. I'd love to see the video, but sadly, I can't.
Yeah, go on. Go on briefly. We tangent enough. Go on.
Oh, you want me to tangent even more?
Yeah, why not?
We can talk about... You mentioned that the refs come from Super Rugby. Have any of you actually watched these morning games?
No, I need to wake up for them.
Haven't seen a single one. Oh, it's been interesting. The Chiefs are doing well. Hurricanes are doing all right. They didn't quite come through against the Chiefs, but they've done okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Jaguars beat Lions. There you go.
Oh yeah, I saw that result.
Big.
That was a pretty big moment.
Lions did quite well last season, didn't they?
Lions got to the final last year.
They got to the final. They did very well last season, though. Go Jaguars! I can't pretend to know how to pronounce that. Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Because I know
it's kind of like
the
an
J
H-A-G.
is the Spanish, so it's the ha or the so it's
Jaguar.
Jaguars. I'm not sure. Someone can pick us up on that.
We'll dedicate about 15 minutes of the podcast to just saying that over and over again. By the way, the Sunwolves did okay against the Cheetahs.
Still lost though, I imagine.
Yeah,
that's a shame.
But they're putting points on the board and they're playing quite well. They've got a couple of good try-scoring outside backs at the moment, so future's not looking that bad. And they're filling stadiums, so no one's that... Yeah.
Well, not in Singapore.
Not in Singapore.
How much of the... Because I know... Do you know offhandedly how much of the Brave Blossoms are made up of Super Rugby players as opposed to players in the top league? Is it?
I actually don't know. I think they've got quite a few in the Super. I think most of them are in the Super Rugby team now.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's the Sunwolves would take the lion's share
best.
of the players, but I'm still curious, I suppose, as to.
Well, quite a few of them. Well, I think a few of them still play in.
Well, they do both
in New Zealand and Australia, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm now not 100% sure. You've thrown me through a loop. I brought them
fair
up.
Enough. Because what's his face? Goromoru is at Toulon, isn't he?
Yeah.
Getting absolutely like no action at all because other people are keeping him out.
Well, he's behind he's behind everyone because Halfpenny.
Yeah.
He was basically a marketing stunt. Let's be sadly honest about the whole
Yeah.
thing. I forgot how you say his name. Bougelau. Yeah, he basically just wanted to bring in the Japanese or the Asian market to try and get some more money, merchandise or whatever. Not the dumbest move in the world, probably quite smart, but I don't know. Him not playing is probably not great. So we'll see. So yeah, Super Rugby started.
What are
Japanese doing all right?
In the New Zealand conference or the New Zealand teams, Blues, Highlanders, Hurricanes, Crusaders, Chiefs.
Yeah.
Of the players that are likely to play for New Zealand this summer,
yes, they're
are
all
any
injured.
particularly putting their hand up? Oh yeah, loads. What's it? Is it Dag, Milner, Scudder, and Smith have all been balked recently? Or
all three of them are injured.
Oh,
we've now just got Mackenzie, Ione,
Barrett. Why not?
Yeah, Barrett at 15, I suppose, if you want to put Sapawanger at 10. I mean, they're not shy of talent. They're just the injuries that they've got at 15 is the experience.
Well, no, I mean even then they're still. How many caps does Barrett have now? Do you reckon?
But Nanai's injured as well, and Geordie. By the way, Geordie Barrett's been playing really well.
Well, shocker.
Geordie Barrett,
I was kind of under the impression that, however flawed it might be, that at some point Bowden Barrett's going to start being called the other Barrett, because the other two just eclipse him in talent. But I've been told that might be slightly wrong.
No, Scott Barrett is not. Scott Barrett's consistent. He's not special. He's consistent. Geordie Barrett is something special. He only made one wrong move at the weekend, which was to give a flat pass to a six who wasn't expecting it. And it just the six. If the six had stuck his hand out and just caught the ball, it would have been fine. But he just didn't. So it looked really, really bad. But he's rapid. He's got a really long, rangy kind of running style. So
yeah.
I think he's quite hard to tackle on the move, and he's got the whole skill set. It's not so much one for the future as he is one for right now, playing really well.
Yeah, that's fair. Most is it that the franchises during the tour are going to keep most of their players? Is that right?
I don't know.
They're not going to get saved for the test matches, but they're going to try and put out their best possible teams. I'm sure there are a few All Blacks that won't feature, but I'm sure I've read that.
Well, actually, I think Fekitoa might be injured. All I know, and this is just from me recollecting, is that the Highlanders injury list is getting a bit ridiculous, and their season might already be over.
Oh, Jesus, that bad.
Naholo's injured, Ben Smith's out, maybe Fekitoa. I can't remember if Fekitoa is actually properly injured or just, maybe a little bit. Fads has been sitting in the reserve team for personal reasons, not 100%, but I think for personal reasons. At the end of the day, the Highlanders are going to struggle because they're really good in defence, but their main attacking threat is Naholo and Ben Smith, and both of them are now injured, so they're going to struggle. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we don't want to talk about Super Rugby too much because Sim's not here, and let's be honest,
we don't know anything about it.
Sim is the man when it comes to Super Rugby.
Well, if we want to bring things up back north,
then
go
in Yorkshire.
Rugby Europe Championship this weekend.
Georgia,
Russia, bringing in 55,000 in the national stadium.
In fact, yeah. It's
20 minutes in, 55,000.
Yeah.
20. I mean, you got to take the picture. You can't take it at the start. You got to take it a little bit after.
Yeah.
But they all turn up eventually.
The table at the moment's looking pretty interesting.
How many is that? Was it the last round, or do they have one more left next week?
One more left next week.
Because I know that Ukraine are getting relegated after Switzerland beat them.
Yeah.
Really?
That's in the Rugby Europe Trophy.
That's the one below.
Which is one below, yeah. So
that makes sense.
So Ukraine are really out of it now, really.
Germany are trying to make tracks for a World Cup spot, though, aren't they? How's that
Yes,
going?
it's at the moment. Well, second place is out of reach at the moment. Romania and Georgia,
Oh,
obviously, sitting at the top of the table.
yeah,
But the fight for third place, which is a repechage spot,
the repechage.
um,
Isn't
is currently Germany and Spain are sitting on 8 points each.
yeah?
Um, so it's going to be a battle next week.
Is,
They're not playing each
isn't
other.
I'm
Germany's
yeah.
playing Russia, and Spain is playing Belgium. Now, considering Belgium are sat right at the bottom of the table at the moment,
Spain should win
Spain
that quite
should
easily.
Spain should win that. If they get a
Okay.
bonus point, you'd say they'd take that third spot and then take that repechage spot for the World Cup draw.
Mhm.
Um,
Just trying to remember. Aren't Fiji also going to have to compete in the repechage?
it's there is, I think, a Pacific Island place playoff, and then there's a repechage.
Okay.
I don't think any Pacific Island any one of them qualified automatically. I don't think from 2015. Because
Oh, none.
I think
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
that's why. So
yeah.
I'm sure only two
There's
of
only two of them. One Pacific Island place, which you'd assume would be Fiji,
yeah.
and then the repechage then would have Tonga and Samoa.
Oh, yeah, I suppose because Georgia beat Tonga last time, didn't they?
Yes, yeah, and obviously Fiji
That was
were
a
in the
good
pool of
match.
death.
Yeah.
So yeah, Spain will have a tough job coming up against one of those teams if they do get that far in the repechage. But yeah, I think how Spain and Germany have done this year has been very impressive. I mean, Germany beat Romania at the start of it. They've been getting around 4,000 consistently for their games, which isn't huge, obviously, but I mean for them, it's
Not bad.
yeah, they're very new to the competition.
It's growing.
Yeah, and they've got you got the Munich Sevens coming up at some point in the autumn, I think, just before the Seven Series starts up again, which is going to feature all the main international teams as well. So it's going to be like a sort of warm up game.
I've just, again, random thought time from Sav. I might try and convince my club team to do a Sevens tour.
Oh, do it.
I've got this feeling that going around the European nations and trying to hit all of these social Sevens events would just be great fun. It's an easy way of touring certain European places and getting to know a bunch of people and drinking a few beers.
A few.
Yeah, well, I have I can't remember where it was. Bournemouth Sevens maybe, the social level at half time, just downing a beer and then getting back on the pitch. That wasn't very smart.
The Steve
but,
Thompson approach.
Yeah, oh yeah, I forgot about that moment. Oh, I'm gonna have to rewatch that clip now.
It's a good clip. It's worth it.
Magic
I was going to
Legends.
say, I am looking forward to, on from the... In fact, no, broadly, firstly, the point I was going to make was that the teams doing better in the rec is that... Haven't Rugby Europe kind of tried to do a huge... They kind of had a massive rebranding last year. And there's been a bit of an upheaval with trying to get more resources, more money, more funding.
Yeah, I mean they've changed everything.
Into the whole game.
Yeah, it's not just a rebranding. They've again changed the whole structure of how their tiered system works. So rather than having what was it before, it was the ENC 1A, the ENC 1B, and it was just confusing. And each competition took place over 2 years, and it was ridiculous and didn't feel like a real competition.
Now it's the trophy.
And now we've got
below that is
the championship,
champions,
trophy, and conference.
then trophy, and there are 4 of them: east, west, north, and south. Yeah, and they can. Is that right?
When it goes below, I think conference, it gets into like the whole north, west, south thing.
Oh, okay.
But up until then, it's just different tiers of this, basically the same sort of style of competition where everything works the same. I think looking at the table at the moment, Portugal are going through to the promotion playoffs from the trophy. Netherlands did have a chance, but they lost against Portugal, I think, last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, Portugal will be playing most likely Belgium or Russia. in the playoff, and one of them will be relegated, and Portugal will possibly be coming up again. But yeah, I think the main takeaway from this is, you look at Spain. Sorry, I'm just looking at their attendances. They've had around 8,000 per game. They're
well, they hold the record for the highest attendant game.
They did before Georgia. Yeah,
Georgia came along.
Yeah, they were the best attended team for most of the competition.
That's really good to hear. I think.
Yeah,
especially because the top 14 final last year was in a 90,000 or 100,000.
Yeah.
Spanish.
French and Spanish.
I thought it was in Spain.
It was in Spain, but I mean, there's going to be quite a lot of French fans travelling, eh?
Well, yeah, but the fact that it is in Spain, it's just helping grow the game, grow the publicity or whatever. It all adds up.
Yeah.
It was Fred. Fred told us that the play, he went to a players' meal or whatever, and he said that he was sitting with people who had been to both the Premiership final and the top 14 final, and they said the top 14 was far superior.
Yeah.
Just for atmosphere and the feeling in the stadium and stuff like that. So, I mean, I personally I've never been. Maybe I should go. Maybe it's quite the experience. But
Linebreak road trip.
Linebreak road trip.
Well,
fund us on wherever, and we'll bring you closer to the action. Yeah. In fairness, I did record the Premiership final on my GoPro.
All right.
And I've even used it in the podcast before. I put some of the footage in.
Quick, play some now, and then post-production.
Oh, don't! I actually have to put that in now, don't I?
No, you don't.
I could put the moment we're singing the Chiefs' racist song.
Love Tomahawk Chop.
Well, Swing Low.
Speaking of racism,
Swing Low, the racist
there was
song. Swing Low.
Article again recently about
Swing Low's racist.
Brilliant stuff.
The context of Swing Low has nothing to do with anything. Yeah. Okay.
To bring it back very quickly to the rec.
Go on.
And that's the rec is in the REC, not where that one team plays. I want to say Bath. I'm tangenting again. I know that Wales. Okay, Wales will be playing Georgia later this year.
Yeah.
Do we know if any other teams will be? Any of the other REC teams will be up north having a bout, or?
I'll have a look now.
This year?
I
have to mention it because I had the most monumental headache yesterday, so I kind of saw total about 40 minutes of the match, the first 10 of the first half, the last 10 of the first half, and the last 20 of the game. But what I did see in my groggy state of being paracetamol and ibuprofen up was the step and the break through the line by, I want to say, the Georgian 15.
Oh yes, the
with the pass to Lopenidze.
Yeah.
The 9, and that was as good a move as any I've seen from any Tier 1 side. The try was gorgeous, start to finish.
Yeah, they really are getting there.
If Sav, that's something you do have to look up to put in here. If
I'll
you
have
can
to
find a clip. The Georgia's second try was.
If you can send me
wonderful.
a link, I will put it into
find
the
you a
podcast.
link.
So if you're watching it now, boom, there it is. It's
post-production Sav.
Yeah. It means I've got to listen all the way through.
I think I can't wait until we get the marketing rights to post-production Sav. It's going to make Linebreak right. That's where we're going to excel.
Looking at the font of all knowledge, Wikipedia. There's Ireland are scheduled to play a Tier 2 opponent. That could be anyone.
What? But it doesn't say.
No, it just says Tier 2 opponent. And as are Italy, and I assume.
Just pick them up. Oh, Italy.
England's Tier 2 opponent looks like it's going to be Samoa.
Not Australia or South Africa. Sick burn!
Christ.
Blown out the audio there.
Ed's just destroyed it.
Sorry.
So yeah, this.
Ed just exists as a blown out piece of audio.
Wales have got a tough.
One day we'll record me watching a match, and it'll just be blown audio the whole way through.
I'm looking forward to the Welsh playing Georgia.
Yeah, it's going to be. If it's anything like the Japan game.
Yeah, I mean, Wales will win.
Well, maybe.
I have very little doubt that the Welsh defence at the very bottom line is going to be better than the Georgian attack. I think so.
Yeah.
We'll see. Although I did see the Georgian kicker was on form, at least
Yeah,
for
that's true.
the kicks that I saw.
Well, that's
He was knocking them.
Kvirikashvili again. The one who
Actually,
made the
so
break.
was the Russian kicker was as well.
Yeah.
I think. I'm sure. Didn't Russia finish with 3 from 3 on the conversions, or 2 from 2 from the conversions?
I mean, I didn't see it, but yeah, I only watched half of the game, and then I switched over to the England under-18 game.
Okay.
Which, by the way, the comments on that were horrendous.
Oh, what, commentary or?
No, the live stream.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. It was obviously a bunch of 12-year-olds watching.
Oh, right. Retards, basically.
It was
I shouldn't say
absolutely
that.
dire.
Oh,
But,
this is again.
yeah.
This is, I suppose, sidetrack one way, but come full circle on the other. It's with England chasing the Grand Slam next weekend. So are the England women and the England under-20s.
Oh yeah, the
Which is
triple
just
Grand Slam.
some supreme dominance from, for whatever the RFU is putting into the various England teams. Something's paying off, because what was it? I think England women against Scotland women. The final score was 64-0.
Well, the women
And that
are
was,
professional now.
and that was, well, that's true, but it's, I think Kay Wilson, is it? Is that the winger? Scored 7 tries. And
Yeah.
I didn't watch the match, but according to my friend, Scarrett missed most of her kicks. And so if you're missing conversions on that many tries, what that does to the score even further is just monumental.
Every time you become a robot, my heart goes in my mouth.
Well, okay, it's just to, put you even less at ease, because I can see that Audacity's stopped. My phone over on the desk is at 1 hour 15 minutes, and Audacity's clock is at 1 hour 12.
Ah, so yes, it is Audacity that's the issue. So your computer, this is what I've just realised, sitting here right now, your computer literally slows down because it's so old.
Yeah, well, I have pointed that out before. But I don't
Okay.
get why it's only happened in the last 2 recordings. Well, not the last 2, I'm sure it's happened a few times, but it's
I've
been...
had to... I
least
tell you,
manageable.
your audio is always the one that I have to edit. So maybe it's
Yeah.
happened before and I've just fixed it. It's always the one that I have to edit. Everyone else
Well,
says
okay,
you just line
why
them up
do you
and
not
just bang.
remember before, you used to use something, you used to use another... This is...
Yeah, the
Post-production
OBS.
Sav better cut all this.
No, it's
Why
fine.
can't you just go back, I suppose...
OBS was
because
a
I
nightmare
suppose,
for audio quality. Our quality was through the floor.
So I'd be sounding like a robot, then that'd be terrible.
Yeah, it would just be... Yeah.
Fair enough, okay, but fine, that's understandable.
Anyway, Georgia to beat Wales.
Georgia beat Wales, hashtag 7th Nation Bros.
Samoa to break the England streak.
Oh, that's, yeah, we could talk about, it's, who are we playing in the autumn? Samoa, Australia, Argentina.
Argentina. Everyone's worried about Argentina because they reckon that we'll just walk over Australia as we always do.
No, it's,
apparently.
we should do fine against them in the autumn. In the summer, they're not likely to field a full-strength team.
No, it's the autumn that people
And
are
that's,
worried about.
yeah. Well, we beat them with 14 men last time.
I actually think that with a Lions depleted team, the Argentinians, I know they won't be a full squad, but I do believe that Argentinians will give us a good run for our money because
Oh, absolutely. But,
we're going for a streak, but normally we experiment.
We were still missing a hell of a lot of Lions, last tour as well. Granted, we didn't lose to Japan because we didn't have that many players missing, but I had to get at least one in the SEC, I'm sorry. But yeah, we had the players we had coming through then as well, because we had debuts from the likes of, I think, Burrell and Yard, and I think Billy V debuted in Argentina last time the Lions toured.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Morgan putting in, I think, a man of the match performance in one of them. I miss Ben Morgan. Maybe he'll come back if Billy V goes on the Lions tour.
Well, I just think Nathan Hughes will go on tour, won't he?
Yeah, he played brilliantly against Scotland compared to how he'd been the rest of the Six Nations.
And there was
Which I think
very
is true
there
for
was a
most of
very
the team.
obvious pick and go that was Italy inspired.
Yeah.
Which was nice to see.
Oh, God, was that late in the game? Sinclair damn near killed Watson.
Oh, Jesus Christ, he did. And we got to see it in slow-mo because they were trying to figure out what had happened.
Yeah.
And they
'Cause
just watched Sinclair
he gets
destroy
his arm,
him.
his shoulder, and his face.
It just didn't look like he flinched. It was like
Yeah.
Watson hit a wall.
And it's, granted, also there was the other hit earlier on, Jamie George running headlong into one of the Scots. And didn't seem to phase Jamie George. He had to go off with a blood sub and an HIA anyway, but the Scottish play was straight off and not back on. We've got some monsters in our pack.
Yeah, Kyle
Sinclair's amazing.
I think Kyle might tour. I'm not sure, but
what Lions?
I just feel like Gatland might bring him. I don't know. I think he'd love to tour, and I know that most players would love to tour.
Yeah. We've got to have next week. We're going to have a proper full Lions one. CC. Do you think Gatland's going to take Jamie Roberts?
Oh, I hope not. No, I mean there are too many good centres to take Jamie Roberts.
They've said there's seats on the plane for the experienced guys.
I did quite like the try got off the charge down.
Yeah, I know, but like
they very specifically.
That's one thing he's done the whole time. I mean, you look at what Farrell's been doing to teams at 12 for since he's been playing there. You can't ignore that. The way Scott Williams has been playing. You've got the Scottish centres. Look how many they've got. And that's not even starting with Ireland. They probably have got the weakest, I'd say, centres of the bunch.
Henshaw's the best.
Yeah, I know Irish fans will start screaming Ringrose at me, but I don't think he's that good. He's not the next bod. Just saying.
Harbaugh just starts stabbing pictures of CC repeatedly.
Gonna find a. I can't remember the name of the bird. Shit, that would have been such a great joke. Yeah.
Lost Terrors.
The southern lapwing.
What's the bird called, CC? The southern lapwing. He's going to start barbecuing southern lapwings against. That joke only works if you know us, but I promise it's funny.
It doesn't even work then. Like we get it, no one else does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Ringrose. He scores a flashy try against the Dragons on a rainy night in the Pro 12, but he's not that good.
But it's the Dragons.
Yeah.
Who are also getting renamed, aren't they?
The WIU is buying them up. They're probably gonna. Yeah, they're probably gonna change.
Because it was such a success.
I don't know whether they're going to drop the Newport or whether they're going to drop the Gwent or whether they're going to drop the Dragons. I don't know what they're going to do. Hopefully they.
They got a decent 7 side.
Yeah. Yeah. So they just stick to the Premiership 7s and they'll be fine. No, I mean, there's rumours that if the WIU take them over, I mean, the idea that maybe they do a merger with RGC and have them have a North Welsh region. And maybe have
that'd be cool.
The Blues take over the whole South East region, but that would not sit well with anyone. I mean, you'd lose.
On the Blues, I thought all the other 3 teams were basically really, really close to each other.
Yeah.
Spray Scarlet.
They are. You can drive to each of them like within. I don't know how quick it is, but it's not very long at all.
Yeah, it's not that much of a distance. I mean, I think personally the best option for the Dragons is if they drop the Newport and the Gwent, maybe even change the have just the kind of general region team. Maybe not focus it in Newport. I mean, they need to get out of Rodney Parade, or Rodney Parade needs to be knocked down. I can't stand. Rodney Parade is the worst stadium in the world. I hate it.
They could just get rid of the team entirely and bring in a Georgian team for the
yeah. Someone on a sub mentioned perhaps maybe, merging Zebra and Treviso, or just killing off Zebra completely and putting their players into Treviso and then having a Georgian team instead. Or whether they're going for this Roman team, I don't know. Yeah.
I'd love an Italy. So I think Super Rugby have done. I know they keep banging on about expansion, but this will probably be the last thing we talk about because we've got to wrap up at some point. But Super Rugby, they're talking about expanding in America and all of this and trying to get expansion. The one thing they've done well, they gave Japanese 1 team. They gave Argentina 1 team. I feel like Italy should have had 1 team and Georgia perhaps should have another team. And then you would just have the Pro 12 with 10 British and Irish ones, Italy and Georgia. That would be your 12.
I think the issue was at the time when Italy joined, people weren't thinking about Georgia that much, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they were kind of under the radar.
But I think it was unfair to give Italy these 2 teams to have to support for a new nation.
Especially as they made them pay entrance fees as well.
I think it's
yeah, they're still
Really?
paying to be in the Pro 12.
Jesus.
And
then bloody hell.
It was a money maker, really.
The side I don't agree with in fact, let's try and get this right. Are both Italian teams in the European Champions Cup, or are they actually in the Challenge Cup?
The top Italian team in the Pro, so whoever comes 11th each year gets a place in the Champions Cup, and then the one below it goes in the Challenge.
Yeah, that's just, I don't agree with that.
It kind of has to be. It was meant to be only for the development stages, but it feels like it's just gonna always be like that. Because at the moment it's just a battle between a couple of the Welsh, one of the Scots and the Irish for who comes at the top. We'll see. It's all going to keep on going, and hopefully a Georgian team can be created in some fashion. I just don't know how that's going to happen.
It's because they need someone like O'Shea or a Lancaster or someone who can come in, and Christ knows how it would work, but the talent they do have where they are, I've said repeatedly, I don't think they should just be parachuted into the Six Nations, but they need, every summer, every autumn, to be playing one of the Six Nations teams.
Mm-hmm. At least.
They need to get that regular test, that regular game time against Tier 1 opposition. Because not maybe that more than anything, but that will be one of the things that spurs on, especially, quite frankly, if before we go on tour in the summer, if we go over to Tbilisi.
They've never played a Tier 1 in Georgia. It's mad.
No, I know. And they are, though, getting the... That's something I meant to say earlier on. Georgia this year, between May and June, are hosting the Under-20s World Championship. And I can't wait for that. I'm hoping there's a good showing from everyone involved, and I hope it's a good tournament. Because I think that could help as well.
No. I'm trying to formulate what I was thinking about Georgian rugby, but I think I just think
Super Rugby's a bit too much for them at the moment. It's that I don't know whether it's really. You said the travel thing. I suppose there's a lot of travel already. To have that part where they going to Europe. I mean, it's just going to be ridiculous. I don't think Super Rugby is a realistic option for Georgia. Even if Super Rugby is sort of teasing them and tickling their balls at the moment with the kind of idea that they can join them. I don't know whether it's really that viable.
They could shoehorn them into a South African conference, I think, because the time difference isn't as massive.
Yeah.
In fact, that they might be on similar times.
Not quite. They're about 4. No, they're 2 hours. Actually, they're 2 hours in front of us at the moment.
And
was it daylight savings the other day, or have I?
It was American daylight savings.
Oh,
don't worry.
Because the game kicked off here at 2:00 and it was kicking off there at 4:00. So there's a 2 hour difference. We are about the same. I think South Africa are on Greenwich Meridian. I think
maybe. South Africa are like an hour or 2 out, and Georgia are an hour or 2 out.
Georgia are 4.
Anyway, they could
hours.
Okay.
Wait, really?
But yeah.
Then in that case, I just can't read. Okay, in that case, if Georgia are 4, then maybe.
But I just think I don't want to see Super Rugby become essentially a nursery for Tier 2 teams.
I think they've already got. I think they need to get rid of some of the teams they took in. I'm not sure how effective the Sunwolves are working there, or whether it's the right time for them, or whether they need to have like a tier below. And I think it's silly that South Africa got a 6th. What's it in their conference?
The Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kings are pretty redundant at the moment. Everyone keeps banging on that the Sunwolves are pretty much a non-team. But the Kings, I think they were bankrupt last season, and they kind of, I don't know, they've turned up this year. They're still playing.
Oh, fair
there
enough.
You go. But I couldn't tell you much. Anyway, should we wrap up? The music will be playing right now.
Yeah, we probably should.
Boom. Yeah.
Final thoughts. Love that funny face Danny Kerr pulls when he jumps over the try line.
Everybody hated it in the pub, but that's why I loved it.
In related news, Harlequins are still shit.
Harlequins X to beat Harlequins. Sweet.
How did the Cardiff Blues do in the whatever the hell?
Oh
they're
well,
playing?
you know, the Cardiff Blues Premiership Select beat London Scottish in a thrilling. I think it was 24-21 final score.
That sounds
yeah,
decent.
so
That's a riveter.
Yeah.
I think the next game now is against Leinster in Dublin. So I'm already
No, you'll
starting
lose that.
drinking. So yeah.
So well, I saw the Exeter boys were posting pictures of the Anglo-Welsh Cup. They obviously got quite close to it. So hopefully this year we win the Anglo-Welsh. Not that it really makes any difference.
Oh, one final thing. One final thing, just to bring it all back.
The music's just
Fine,
playing.
yeah,
over the
that's
top.
fine. As long as it is playing, because sometimes you say it's playing, it's not. Farrell missed, I think, one kick at goal. Which was quite impressive.
Shite.
But who do we think? Because at the moment I can't see Daly, even though we only played 2 minutes of the fourth round. Who do we think is in with the best shot of player of the tournament?
Daly is pretty much up there. His only downside is he didn't get to compete against Scotland for long enough to really stamp any authority on that game. Player of the tournament's probably Daly. I can't think of anyone else.
Farrell's up there if the great performance yesterday cancels out the awful one 2 weeks
He
ago.
was poo on his 50th, eh?
Yeah, but I think he's allowed that. So is that it then?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, let's pick Liam Williams just to rub it in his face.
Can you imagine what he'd do to his Twitter header if
Oh,
he was
mate,
picked?
he'd definitely upgraded to...
So much more lightning. Maybe even volcanoes.
Stick an earthquake in. Oh, I need to go and see Logan, actually.
Oh, it's so good!
Oh, I'll go tonight. It's been decided. I'm going tonight. Done.
I still want to see the Lego Batman movie, but I'm told it's not been as good as the Lego movie.
Right.
Disappoints me greatly.
Do.
Oh wait, we're still... Oh, so hang on. We've gone through all of the music without me slagging off the Welsh.
Yeah.
Oh.
We can bring that up now. CC's here, though. You would never do it to CC's face.
I'll bash you, mate.
But I might do it to the Southern Lapwing. So I'm going to press stop record.
Alright, you do that.
And then you
I'll do
can
that.
carry on about how I'm abusing the Welsh.
Oh, Jesus, did you suddenly put the phone into the fan?
No. Wait, what do you mean?
I just heard
I forgot to
rumbling.
mention Ospreys
I don't know what that was.
playing their
Okay,
quarterfinal
so
at
hang on.
Millennium Stadium
Yeah.
in the Challenge Cup.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
No,
Did they
in the
win?
Challenge Cup, they're going to be playing it against
they're
Stad
gonna.
or
They're gonna.
Stad 92, whatever they are now. But they're
Next
yeah,
season.
they couldn't play in the Liberty because Swans are playing there the day before or something, and
Alright,
the
they're gonna mess up
football
the
Premiership football has a kind of weird no touching rule where they're not allowed to be near each other for too long. Even
Oh yeah. So just in case they get pregnant.
even if it's after a football
footballers.
match, they don't like rugby being played. They're too close to it. It's like some kind of
Yeah. You never know. These footballers, if they get pregnant, their career's pretty much ruined.
double standards.
Yeah. I'm still recording. Go on. Right, I've stopped now.